Hello, everybody. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. And I have a great show today. We talk about it all the time on the show about business and what it takes to run a great business. And one thing that's very important in business is to make sure you're not overspending in areas where you can be saving money, especially in technology, especially in certain technology platforms. So when we came across what Mr. Ken Reda is doing at the Profit Advisory Group, we really got interested because he believes in his team, and they've been at this a long time. They're one of the leaders in the space that you don't really need to overspend when you don't need to in telecom. So we're going to talk about that today. But Ken, welcome to the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Awesome. Happy to be here, Andy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great to have you. And it's really interesting what you've done. Telecom expenses and regaining control over budgets with something you offer, which is incredible. I'm not going to give all the secrets away, but you do this zero-cost telecom audit, which is phenomenal. Before we get into it, though, let's pull the lens back to 30,000 feet. Ken, tell us about Profit Advisory, then we're going to go.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Andy. I used to work on the other side of the table. I worked for WorldCom and MCI. I was a sales and service manager. I then went and worked for another company in the IT or telecom space called Birch Telecom. I was vice president of sales and service. And one of the things we always worked on, unfortunately, were billing errors, things that were promised that weren't delivered. So about almost 20 years ago now, I started Profit Advisory Group, and we have been basically helping our clients cut costs, improve their technology through our normal auditing process that we do. It's funny, we started the company, it was just me and another partner, and we said, this is great, just be two of us, we'll make lots of money, everybody will be happy, we don't want to be in the business of having employees. Well, some 20 years later, we now have 10 full-time auditors that are on staff and a marketing team and a sales team. So we've kind of morphed into what a small little corporation located here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we're really happy that we've been able to take this journey, and we continue to grow, and we continue to help our clients. And it's just an exciting time because telecom is always changing, IT is always changing, and that gives us work to do.
Yeah, I love it, Ken. You're doing such great work. So many people have come on board. You're doing a great job. Of course, people that watch the show, we're big believers in whiteboards. And of course, Ken has the whiteboard behind him and he's starting to make it all happen. One thing that's really interesting is that 80% of all telecom invoices contain errors. And that's like a large number. So you save so many companies so much money, a lot of big companies, Fortune 500 companies and the like. I want to get into this audit that you do because that's really where it all starts. Tell us about this telecom audit. How does someone get one? How do we go from A to Z?
Perfect. Great question. Our process is really, really simple. We take all the invoices of services that our clients are paying for, because a lot of times people don't realize what they have. They think what they have, they don't know what they're paying for. So we get all that data. And then from there, we create an inventory of everything they're paying for, from circuit ID to location to vendor, all that information. We compile it and put it in a workbook. And then from there, we do what we call our three-phased audit. We do backwards for contract and tariff compliance. Are you getting what the contract says? Are you getting what the governing body says? From there, we move on to, we call it service optimization. Are you paying for things you don't have to pay for? Back in the day when I was at MCI or WorldCom, all of a sudden they would add a $50 charge to, millions of people's invoices for some service, whether it be, get a paper bill and you pay an extra $10 or whatever it may be, and people would pay it. But if you asked them to remove it, they would remove it. So we look for those non-essential fees that are on there. We also look for locations that close but are still billing, locations that are moved from technology A to technology B and they forgot to shut off technology A. So we do those things, and we actually go the extra mile. We call every single phone line. We run traffic studies on every single circuit to see whether they're in use. And we continue to do that. That would be phase two. Phase three is what we call price optimization. We've worked with some of the largest, like you said, Fortune 500 companies. We do a lot in the healthcare space. We've worked with some of the largest IDNs in the country, and we have a huge database of active real-life pricing. And from there, we benchmark our clients against what others are paying for. And it's amazing. I'll tell you a quick story. There was a healthcare system in Texas that was paying more for their service, and they were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month than a dry cleaner that was spending less than $150 a month, because no one asked, no one looked. So from there, we create that inventory. We give you what we call as our recommendations, our things that you should go after, refunds, etc. And then that's all they are, is our recommendations. If you want to move forward, we do all the heavy lifting. We go out, we sit on the phone for hours, and we get the savings. And then once the savings is achieved, from there, we share in it modestly for the first 12 months, and we track everything and keep our clients, make sure it's going to stay what we say it's going to be.
Yeah, I love it. Of course, in the business world, we used to call it a no-brainer. I mean, you listen to what you're doing. This is as close to a no-brainer as there really is. And with your guidance, one thing that I love about what you do is that your clients cut their costs, and then they have the opportunity to think about repurposing those savings toward other technologies that can really help their business stay relevant. So that's a powerful way to save money somewhere, but then put that money toward something else that helps their business grow, right?
Absolutely. And one of the things that most of our clients start off at the C-suite level, at a CIO or a CFO, and what they like about it is, I'll tell you a quick thing. We had a client here in North Carolina that we did an RFP for. We got them pricing for a new network, and we actually were able to save them a whole bunch of money. But what they decided to do is take a portion of the savings and double the bandwidths of their network to improve their caregiver experience, to improve their patient experience, by getting a more robust network. So it was a win-win. They saved money and they improved experience, because in the retail and healthcare space, customer or patient experience is king, and saving money is like right below king.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, you're big in the healthcare and retail space. And one thing that's interesting, after you do the audit, somebody might be saying to themselves, well, do you also say, hey, we've got these other vendors that might be able to provide something different than what you're currently sort of enjoying, and maybe you can procure other vendors and bring them to the table to help your clients? Is that the way it works?
Absolutely. And in that third phase, we have like for like, vendor for vendor pricing. We also say, hey, if you want to change from technology A to technology B, you could save even more money. If you want to change from carrier A to carrier B, you could save even more money, because acquisition pricing is always better than retention pricing in the telecom IT space. So we bring all those options to the table, because some of our clients are all about, let's switch vendors and save money. Others are, hey, we want to stay with who we have. We like our accounting. We just want to get it for a better deal. So we give them all those options for them. And we have relationships with literally hundreds of vendors supplying different services that would be beneficial to our clients.
Yeah, I love it so much. And one thing that you and your team have done so well is you're very transparent. I mean, you go on the website, you can see all types of infographics, and you're very prolific as a writer. You want your people, your clients or potential clients, really to understand the entire IT environment. From your perspective as an entrepreneur, where did that come from? This idea that you want to have full transparency and give a lot of information to your potential clients?
Well, because, when I was on the other side of the table, one of the things was, when you're a sales rep or a vendor, your idea is to sell as much as you can to that customer for as much money as you can. That's always the rub, right? Is you want to sell it for as much as you can. And when we started the company, my thought process was, let's make sure that we're looking at it from a benefit to the client, the end user. It's always easy to potentially on the sales side to upsell someone, sell them a little more than they need just because it's safer that way. But the reality is, in today's environment, especially, you want to make sure that you're not overspending on things that you don't need. Sometimes there is a reason to spend a little bit more, but a lot of times it's basically just because no one explained to the client exactly why it's necessary to be at A instead of B. And we really felt that it was important to always do what we thought was best. One of my favorite comments was that when we started Tor Stories is when we started the company, it used to be that you got paid on found savings. So if I found the savings, whether you implement it or not, pay me. And I quickly was like, that's just so unfair because, and we started a trend 19 years ago where it was on verified savings. And I'd say in today's world, in our space, probably 90% of the people that are out there are doing it on verified only savings because that's really all that matters. If it's real, don't tell me what, you could do. What did you do and you accomplish it? So we've always felt that it was important that would I feel comfortable paying this bill if it was on me? So we always make sure that we do that for our clients.
Yeah, I love it. You've done such a great job. You've helped almost 1,000 clients, maybe even more now. It's hard to keep count. When you get your free audit questionnaire, do those come mostly from referrals? I know that you get a lot of companies that say, hey, you need to talk to Ken over there. He and his team at Profit Advisory are doing a great job. When you get a referral, how do they come to you? By phone, by text? Do they sign up on the website? How do you get the potential clients coming in?
Most of our clients are referred from another client talks to another guy or a girl and says, hey, you should give these guys a call. That's really, really important in our space. We have done, obviously, internet marketing, and we've hit a couple of home runs where we had $1 million clients that came through the website. And we also have relationships with strategic partners like group purchasing organizations and industry-specific forums and so forth, where we're introduced on a peer-to-peer level with different prospects. And we're really, really lucky, and I'm blessed that through the referral business, we keep growing. We're on track this year in 2024 to have our best year ever, and we're excited that what the future will hold.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, you've worked with Burger King and Rolex and Nike and Dick's Sporting Goods. I mean, the list goes on and on. Let's talk about it just a little bit because your team, they look like a who's who of telecom. So, how long has it taken you to develop this team that you currently have working with your clients at the company?
Great question. We started with just, like I said, 2 of us, and then we added an auditor to help us. And over the years, we've added now 9 more auditors. And we're really very blessed in that of our team, I would say I shouldn't say that because we just hired somebody last week, a new auditor. But most of our team has been with us anywhere from 7 to 14 years. And they stay with us because the work we do is fun. The work we do is different every single day. And we take care of our people. And the most important part of our team are the auditors and our team and our staff because, I may get to be the one to interact sometimes a lot with the clients, but they're doing all the heavy lifting behind me. And it's critically important that we have a really seasoned team, some of the best in the industry, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love it. And you did mention healthcare. I know you're very big in healthcare. You mentioned how important telecom is to healthcare. Why is it such an important component of the healthcare system?
Well, for a few reasons. Number one, obviously, communication is critical, especially in healthcare, reliable communication for health safety reasons. The more and more we get into telemedicine and other things that are going over the radiology and things going over the internet, you need to make sure that your network is strong, reliable, stable. And so we work with the healthcare environment because that's critically important. The other reason why we work with the healthcare environment is healthcare is notorious of having old technology, and they're now just trying to move it forward. And we're helping a lot of our clients move from things that might have been installed in 1950 or 60 to things that are now what I would call cutting edge technologies. So there's a lot of great opportunity to help them get to that next level. We have a healthcare client here that in Charlotte that we've worked with that we've now done two different technology migrations on their network, from an older to a newer, from a newer to an even newer. So it's really exciting, and we look for opportunities like that. But the reason is that communication is key to healthcare systems. If their system goes down and there's some type of catastrophe, there's a lot of trouble. So you got to have a lot of redundancy and backups and things like that. And we get to work with some of the best IDNs in the country, the biggest IDNs. Today, three of the top 10 IDNs are current clients of Profit Advisory Group. But we're pretty proud of that.
Well, that's fantastic. And of course, I get my bills. Sometimes I look at my bills. I look at them every month like an eagle eye. Sometimes I don't look at them so close. But sometimes I look at a bill and I say, wow, I'm paying for something that I didn't even know I'm paying for, like an unused feature. Is this something that you provide in the audit as well?
Absolutely. I'll tell you a quick funny story. Just happened this past fall. We had a client, a hospital system. They had almost $100,000 worth of data circuits going to a building. And I said, something just doesn't seem right. So we had the carrier go out and do what is known as a tag and locate. So they went out to tag the circuits, and never happened before, but the technician FaceTimed me on my phone. And I was like, what? So he turns his phone around and there's a big hole in the ground where the building used to be. He said, and he asked a police officer on the corner, and the police officer told him, oh yeah, that was torn down 6 years ago, actually. So they've been paying almost $90,000 a month for 5 years for something that was a hole in the ground. And it was only discovered because we actually had the carrier go out and tag the circuit to make sure. And I mean, unfortunately, that's a big extreme example, but we have smaller examples every single day.
Wow. Are there percentages that people need to start thinking about? In other words, I know you can't guarantee it, and I'm not going to put you on record about it, but if I'm a big company and I've got all these charges coming in, is there sort of a percentage that I need to start thinking about how much I'm overpaying for my services?
Absolutely. Like I would say we kind of track things in 5 to 7 year averages, right? So I would say in the last 5 to 7 years, our average is on the low side in the mid-teens savings. On the higher side, we've had some that were actually, I hate to say it, but over 40% savings. But on average, we're in that 15, 16 to about 21% on average with our clients. Every once in a while, we'll have somebody who's doing the greatest job in the world. And then like I tell them, hey, you'll get an independent third-party verification that you guys are doing a wonderful job at no cost. And we'll give them the inventory that we create for free. So, luckily, that doesn't happen very often that we don't find anything. I don't think that's ever happened. We usually find at least 15%.
Wow, that's amazing. For a larger company, who reaches out? Is it the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer? Is it a C-level exec? Is it an expert in sort of telecom? Who's reaching out, and who are you interfacing with at the bigger companies?
At the larger companies, it's going to either be a CTO or a CIO, or in some cases, a CFO. But a lot of larger companies now have a sourcing department or a procurement department. There might be a chief procurement officer, and they seek our help a lot. So that's that C-suite look. Sometimes it may be somebody who's a VP in IT, but most of the time it's going to be somebody who has a financial interest in that entity. Because a lot of people at a what I call a lower level, or the people that do all the work, they're not as incentivized to save money. They're to make sure that the trains run on time and that everything's working. That's their focus. The C-suite's wants to make sure that happens, but they also want to make sure that they're getting a good deal.
Yeah. I was thinking it through, Ken, and I'm saying to myself, okay, you have a company and they figure out and they find out through your free audit that they're overspending on their technology, on a technology stack, let's just call it. I would imagine when they start seeing the savings in this one particular technology, the C-level executives need to start saying to themselves, wow, where else are we overspending? Where else can we start saving money? Is that sort of the idea of what happens through the company?
Absolutely. Actually, it's funny because I was talking to a controller at a hospital out in California last night, and he goes, I got to tell you, when I started looking at the stuff you were finding, I started to go to other departments. And he goes, you know what? It's pervasive. So he's now gone from just looking at telecom IT through us to now he's looking at other areas that don't touch what we do. So that's pretty interesting, and it does kind of snowball effect. And I would like to point out that, when I say telecom IT, I'm talking about local, long distance, internet, data, mobility, cloud services, software licenses, co-location, all these different services. We call it infrastructure. We're not looking necessarily at, the routers and the physical equipment. We're looking more at the infrastructure, and that's really our sweet spot.
Yeah, I love that. The infrastructure, I mean, everywhere there's savings, even in cloud computing and everywhere else. I mean, it could be billions, perhaps trillions of dollars already with what's happening out there. People could save a lot of money, take that savings and redeploy it into other aspects of their business to help them improve their bottom line and increase their profitability and their gross revenues, which is what it's all about. I know we've only cut out a certain amount of time, Ken. You said to me before the show, listen, I've got a tight schedule. I'm helping a lot of companies. But before I let you go, I want to talk about entrepreneurship. We have some entrepreneurs, younger entrepreneurs that watch the show, Ken. I mean, you've built a great company here. You've been in business for over 20 years. It's founded in 2002. Your combined industry expertise with your group is well over 100 years. 1,000 businesses served, a lot of money in client savings. For the younger entrepreneur watching the show, and they're having a tough time in business, maybe they need a little kick in the, maybe they're freezing in the frame. Do you have some sort of ideas about entrepreneurship, about how to keep on pushing when times get tough for the younger entrepreneurs watching the show?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you that I wish I was a young entrepreneur when I started the company. Instead, I was a middle-aged entrepreneur. I am a big believer in being an entrepreneur, working hard, building it yourself. Find something that you have a like for and that you have somewhat of an expertise in, or develop that expertise. But the hard part is when you first start the company, and it may be a struggle. But the reality is, struggle will lead to success if you stay with it. Get the right people around you. Realize that, people think, well, I start my own company, I'm going to make all this money. In the very beginning, you're going to make money, but you're also going to be, responsible, and make sure that you're investing in your company instead of just investing in yourself. One of the things that I've done since the get-go of starting the company is we have been lucky and never to have to borrow any money. Because rather than make myself rich, if you will, if I could have, I just kept the money into the company and kept growing the company. It's real important to stay the course. We've been through now here several recessions. We've been through COVID. We've been through all these different hurdles. But if you just put your head down and work hard and deliver an honest, good product, you can be successful. And I would recommend to anyone, find something you love and be a entrepreneur. Because working for the man every day isn't quite as much fun as working for yourself and bringing a team behind you who with you along the way. It's real exciting.
Yeah, Ken, I think you nailed it. Delivering that honest product or service is the key. Having you on the show, I mean, a leader in telecom infrastructure, fantastic. Stop overspending when you really don't need to. Ken and his team are at the ready. This has been a great interview, bringing us inside what you do at Profit Advisory Group, Ken. So I want to thank you for coming on the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Awesome. And Andy, thank you for having us. We are excited, and we're ready for anybody who needs any advice. Just stop by the website and come see us. We appreciate it.